I'm your host, Kevin Barrier, and welcome to 5Dubs Marketing Pros, where we highlight awesome brands and the stories behind them, and maybe just maybe geek out on all things marketing. All right, welcome, friends. So, if you've spent any time in media sales over the last several years, you've probably felt the shift. Advertisers are asking more questions and tougher questions, and they want proof and they want targeting and they want audience insights. And frankly, they want to know why they should be spending the money with local media instead of just dumping more dollars into big tech like Google and Facebook. That's where today's conversation gets really interesting because today's guest represents a company that's spent decades helping newspapers and media organizations answer those questions with actual data, not guesses, not trust us, we're local, but real audience intelligence, purchasing behavior insights, and sales tools designed specifically for media organizations. This company works with publishers and advertising sales teams across the country, helping them better understand their audiences, build stronger sales presentations, uncover advertiser opportunities, and ultimately drive more revenue. And for us at the MDDC and our members specifically, they've developed a tool that can help sales teams become smarter, more consultative, and more confident in client conversations. So today we're going to learn who they are, dive into the platform and the tool that they provide, and talk about how sales teams can use that data more effectively in real world advertising environments. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Sammy Papert with Pulse Research. Sammy, thanks for jumping aboard. You and I have known each other for a while. It's fun to be able to do this. Thanks for taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to sharing some thoughts with your members. It's good to see you again.
Awesome. So what I like to do is, for those a lot of people within our membership and within the news media industry, Pulse Research is not a brand that's been behind the scenes. You're a very recognizable brand. You've been ingrained in kind of an institution within our industry for a while. But for the few that may not know who Pulse Research is, why don't you talk a little bit about who Pulse Research is, kind of who you are and why you matter?
Glad to. Pulse Research was founded by a gentleman named John Marling, who has since retired and sold the company to the number two guy, a gentleman named Brian Knapp. And really relevant to this is John was a sales rep in a suburban Portland weekly, and so learned his chops growing up from the sales rank. He graduated to being a sales leader and ultimately a publisher. And it was during his publisher stint that he said, there's got to be a better way. To several of the points you made during the intro, there's got to be a better way to start the conversation and pursue it with advertisers or prospects. The better way is with data. And what he started 30 something years ago, I forget exactly how long it's been, was talking to the audience in originally the suburban Portland. And while they captured data about demographics and intent and several things, the primary piece of information they attempted to capture and started capturing very, very well was shopping intent. What do the households in the community intend to buy? And using that data, he armed his sales staff with more information that differentiated them from any other medium in the community. Those humble beginnings, again, 35 years ago, Pulse has grown and grown and grown. We do an annual nationwide study called Pulse of America to capture this information, although we're glad to do it for individual clients and markets. Had a really steady growth for 35 years. I will tell you that COVID was not good to Pulse. Every single client, I mean, I almost didn't want to answer the phone, right? Pick up the client, say, we're not making sales calls. We don't need a sales tool. So that was then, but we're growing again. And in addition to his humble newspaper beginnings, we represent newspaper or radio and television. Not nearly as many newspapers, but we do represent radio and television. So we have client bases in three media.
Got it. So Yeah, and I've always been a proponent of, even with traditional advertising vehicles like, newspaper, newspaper.com, radio, even broadcast. What I have seen as I've worked with businesses at this point across the United States is that they do want this audience insight, shopper intent. Why do you think that's so important for a business to really fixate on versus, back, I'll say in 2001, when I started in this industry, in the classified department of the Carroll County Times, I quickly learned this was right before 9/11, when people, there was a line out the door for to place classifieds. And I worked with businesses, uh, s- small and medium sized businesses within the market as well. And the emphasis wasn't on audience data, it was just on reach. They knew the reach was there. It was almost like if you build it, they will come. But now, um, there's a fixation, and maybe justifiably so, but on audience insight, shopper intent. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a couple answers to that question, Kevin. Uh, Small businesses, any size businesses, have are it's tougher business than it ever was. Almost every industry we work with, and this includes our industry, are time starved, right? They don't have the ability to really spend hours and hours researching anything. So if a media rep can bang on the door of a local business and say, I have some information about the households who are going to drive your point of sale system, they are vitally interested in it. And we just seen that happen again and again and again, whether I'm on a four-legged call with a customer or a virtual call. If the business knows that we have information about them, we've gone from being a media rep selling something to a consultant who might help them generate an ROI based upon an advertising investment.
Yeah, I think it's important. I've always, early on, there was a training I did. Man, this is when, at this point, I was in my early 20s. And it was, you don't want to be a transactional rep. You want to be a trusted advisor. And being a trusted advisor with the business allows the opportunity where they'll come to you to seek out information. And I think another reason why there's a fixation on audience insight, shopper intent, and just granular data is because the evolution of the advertising and marketing landscape has steered into that direction with the advent of digital marketing. Right, in digital marketing, there's a lot more data that you can ingest. And I'm a proponent for Google Ads and social media advertising. I'm also a staunch proponent for the power behind news media reach and audience. It's a higher income, higher affluent, um, more loyal, less swampy audience than you'll ever find on the digital side. And I think that, and my members, I if any member, well, not if, any members that are listening here, I love you to death. But I think it's safe to say that we have not been the best arbiters for ourselves in communicating our value effectively, because we've always been the local newspaper, or we've always been the local radio station. And of course we have value because the value has always been seen until there's been so much competition that has been nipping at our heels, and taking advertising opportunity away, that we need to adapt. And I think Pulse research plays such an important part in that adaptation, because you are providing news media organizations with real data, that's easy to understand, very digestible, and very actionable. And you do that through the Pulse of America campaign, which we always participate in. So you're getting real data. You're getting robust and quality data. So with all of that data, because I am a data nerd, talk to me a little bit about Pulse's process in how you're compiling. Where does that data come from? How does Pulse do that, and where do you get it?
Sure. We do this annually. I'd be remiss if I don't point out we're about to do start the 2006 Pulse of America survey. So be prepared.
The
Uh,
2026, you mean? Yep.
yeah, correct.
Yep.
And it's real simple. We ask our good press association friends, we ask our clients, we ask prospects to promote an ad. So literally the promotional copy in the ad, whether it's being distributed in a newspaper or a radio or television or via an e-newsletter, whatever, says we're participating in a national survey to better understand the shopping intent of our users. If you'll complete this survey, click the link, go here, you'll be enrolled in a contest to win $1,000 grand prize. Uh, because there is a very significant prize, we get a huge sample. Last year's sample was almost 9,000. And with a 9,000 size sample, we can slice that data into any type of market we want. So whether it's an upscale, rural, agricultural, resort destination, the sample is so large we can make a Pulse client look like that. Or if a client says, well, gee whiz, can we do our own survey? The answer is absolutely yes. We literally create a link for that market. So pulseresearch.com/Frederick as an example. And the only difference is we would ask the client to provide a local incentive. So usually a 1 grand prize, like a gift card, a $250 Visa gift card, and five $50 Visa second prize gift cards. With that, then you capture a local sample, and yet it gives you one more reason to go to local businesses and says, we have locally generated information about you. I'd like to share it with you. So it's really classic research. It's not, not the old once upon a time when I was in doing telephone interviews, but it is a web-based survey that is driven by clients, prospects, press associations, uh, and an incentive, whether it be local or national.
Yeah, it's sometimes if the wheel's not broke, don't fix it, right? It's a sophisticated, tried and true mechanic on pulling the data that really matters. And I want to take a look at what that looks like. So you take all of this data and you're able to parse it out in a lot of different ways. And one way is through a kind of like a Pulse Research Lite tool that you are gracious enough to provide our membership with to use in their sales processes. And I think it's important, and I want to show what that looks like. So if anyone's listening to this just on audio, you can hop over to our YouTube channel. You can find it in the show notes, and you can see the AV
Good.
adaptation of this, so you can take a look. But I think it's important as I pull this up. I think it's important to underscore, for any businesses listening here, this is the data that you want. As a marketer myself, uh, you know, it's fundamental to be able to look at what your audience intends to do in the next 12 months in terms of shopping and purchasing decisions. And that's not information that's always easily available. But Pulse
Correct.
makes it easy. All right. So screen shared.
Yep.
Um, so what we're seeing here for those on audio, we say generate the insights that get results. So our press association members, our advertising press association members, will be able to get access to this dashboard that will allow them an opportunity to get their feet wet in what you have to offer and use the information in the sales process to educate businesses within their community on, based on your data, what shopping intent uh, uh, data exists out there. I'm sharing. Drive me through this, Sammy. Tell me what I should look at.
Sure. If you'll scroll down, we don't want to watch the video, but that'll be on the site that everyone will have access to. It's a 4 minute or so video that kind of runs you through what we're going to talk about today. So really
Yeah,
compressed.
and I think this. So for those that are listening on this, if you scroll down, there's a video. Sammy created a video. It's 4 minutes and I think 9 seconds, maybe.
Sounds right.
To that will walk you through the how to of how to use this MDD sponsored member access, and this is only available to MDDC members. So, it's easy for you to hop on and be able to within less than 5 minutes learn how to really dive in if you want to share this out with your membership. or with your advertising teams, I should say.
Yeah. And so you're now where the test drive begins. So we've identified 12 categories, and literally a member can click on a category, and you're about to see what we'll do, enter some very, very basic information, and it will automatically create what we call a teaser for your sales use. Uh, and literally, it'll take you less than a minute to create this. So,
Yep, and we're gonna walk through that. And before we do, just for those that are listening, some of these categories are high intent categories.
sure.
These are categories of businesses that need every business needs advertising, but these are categories that really resonate with news media, like attorneys, furniture stores, new car dealers, auto repair shops, hardware stores. I mean, we're gonna have financial advisors, hospitals, huge, remodeling contractors. I want to look at, because in Frederick right now it's like 8,000 degrees outside. So I want to look at the HVAC services because I think that is coincidentally applicable here. So I'm going to click on HVAC services. Let's see okay. So what pops up is, it seems to be a pretty simple lead form
Right.
that says, name of your market. So I'm going to use the market I'm familiar with. I'm going to use Frederick, Maryland here, and it's as simple as typing it in. And then it asks for the number of households in your market. Now, if you're a member, you should know this information. This is
Right.
information that if you don't know it, but the business that you're trying to court does, you're behind. So I know in Frederick County, it's somewhere between like 101 and 105,000. I'm just going to use, I'm going to say 10, 102. Let's see, 102, 500. I'm going to split the difference. That's kind of where we're going to be. 102,500 households. Ask me for my name, for my media name. I'm just going to call this MDDC. And then I am not going to put my real number in for the lurkers out there. So it's a very simple. So it's asking me 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 very simple things to fill out. It took me about 20 seconds. Is there anything else I need to do here before just clicking go?
Let me just interject one point.
Yeah.
There are 12 categories here, uh, and we're delighted to share that. I know they're going to be very valuable for your members, but the full suite of research is about 400 categories. So just be aware of that.
Got it. So this is the Pulse Research. Like, Pulse Research is a business, and that business needs to make money. So there is a full suite that's available for our members that has over 400 categories. This dipping of the toe in the water before diving in has 12, and 12 very applicable categories here. Yep,
Exactly.
great point. Anything else here I need to do before hitting enter or hit go?
And the only other thing I'd say is if you do not have to put a real phone number in there. I mean, obviously you know that. So uh, I think we're good to go. So hit the enter button, and then we'll talk about the next step.
Yeah, well, and I think so let's do that. I think there's a benefit here on putting that full number in. Yep, at the bottom. So at the bottom, one of the great things I like about this is it'll put your contact information in.
Yep.
Because this is a client facing sheet. Now, talk me through a little bit what I'm seeing here. I see, for heating and air conditioning services, our survey results say, based on the question of, do you plan to shop heating and air conditioning services in the next 12 months? That's the question that's asked to consumers during your research, during the Pulse of America research initiative. And
Exactly.
I'm seeing out of 102,500 households, over just shy of 23,000 households say that within the next 12 months, they're going to need heating and air conditioning services, which is a huge number. It's like 22, 23%. Talk to me a little bit about wha- how how this is calculated and why this matters so much for a media company to be able to share with businesses in their community.
So there's about 100 answers to that question. I'll try to keep it to two or three.
Give me
Uh,
the 2 to 3 best.
uh, to be very clear, the question we ask you is right there. So we don't we come up with a percentage. So in this case, it's what 22.2 rounded up. So we know that 22% of the households intend to shop at heating and air conditioning services in the next 12. It's important to ask the 12-month question. It serves us in so many ways. First of all, it allows us to talk about longer campaigns. Uh, we all know people are looking for heating and or air 24/7, 365. So we can talk about an annual campaign. And I know you love your members. I love the industry, but one of the weaknesses is that we go to market so often with too many one-offs, whether that be a special section or a best of event. So to talk about an annual commitment is really valuable. Uh,
Yeah, I
in
want
this
to say
case,
something real quick. I just want to, I think it works both ways, right? Because, yes, any business will benefit from frequency advertising and marketing. That's marketing fundamentals. Also, however, Pulse Research could easily say within the next 5 years, and this percentage could be much, much larger to pad it, but you don't because they're in, a 5 year view doesn't create
yeah,
any sort of importance or sense of urgency. So I think that in the next 12 months is such a great sweet spot because there is a sense of urgent and important need by a consumer to need this service within a relatively shorter period of time, while also encouraging best marketing practices, which is omni-channel marketing efforts over the course of time, and not just I'm going to run one ad and I'm going to have a line out the door and around the corner. That's not how it works. And that's something that I think some businesses, especially mom and pops, which are the most vulnerable, need to understand. Not all businesses that run one business card size ad for $500 will get a $20,000 sale. That return on ad spend is unheard of. So I really appreciate that Pulse created a 12-month view and not a 3 to 5 year view just to
yeah,
pad a number to make it sound and look larger. Anyway.
yeah. Well, that is a good point. And the uh, uh, annual shopping just serves us very, very well. Uh, you chose the market in this case, Frederick, 100,000 or so circulation, but or population. But if indeed the advertiser, in this case, the heating and air services, said, "Well, that's great. I don't really want to reach everybody in the county. Can I choose a zip code or two, or can I use the Frederick proper itself?" And the answer is yes. So literally, you could change this on the fly for the advertiser, or in the case of this QR code, we don't you can't do anything with it right now. But literally, if you are in live with this advertiser and he asks you or she asks you to say, "Can I do my zip code?" Literally, you say, "Sure." Scan that code. Up is going to pop a really small screen field, and you type in. So, tell you what, Mister heating air conditioning guy, type in your zip code, and he does, and up will pop a new number. Obviously, it's going to be much smaller than the 22,000. Uh, and he can say, "This is how many households are going to buy right in my zip code." And you say, "Yes, sir, it is." And almost inevitably, the next words out of his mouth are, "What do you think I should say to them?" And you
Yeah,
launch it. Yeah, yeah. You
yeah,
launch
yeah.
it.
And
Go
we'll
ahead.
just share. So I scan the QR code just on my
Yeah,
phone here. I put in my zip code. I'm
great.
going to keep that ambiguous just for those that are listening. And yeah, it's saying there's over 1,000 uh homes or households in my zip code that will need heating and air conditioning services within the next 12 months, spending estimated over $500,000 combined, of course.
Yeah,
Uh, which this was very easy to do. So imagine for all of our sales reps, if you're a revenue generator within our membership or really any news media industry, we need to evolve how we sell. Our competition is right from big tech down to if you're a newspaper or radio station could be doing this or vice versa. We need to become more of a trusted advisor than a transactional salesperson. And imagine being able to pull this up on the screen and in real time show the advertiser. If the advertiser wants to pivot and adapt and say, well, I only want to look at this specific market that may be a weaker market for us. You can do that in real time on the fly, which will help accelerate the sales process moving forward. This isn't a 3 to 4 touch sales process anymore. It's not unheard of that it could be a 1 to 2 touch sales
Correct.
process. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought that to be important because I've seen in going around the United States and training salespeople, I've seen how they sell, and it feels it I love all of you, but it feels horse and buggy. Sometimes like it does not resonate. It feels legacied. And news media, while one could say it's a legacy product, that's a value. But in the way that you can sell, if you can sell newspaper in a data driven way or radio in a data driven way like this, you have slingshotted yourself into present day sales mechanics.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to know. Anyway, off my soapbox, Sammy, please continue.
Well, no, no, I appreciate you chiming in because those are good points. The couple other points I would add to this is since it's you chose the county, it allows you to include whatever digital solution makes sense because there's not a newspaper who reaches the county. There is a radio signal, obviously television as well. But so now you can say, I chose the county because I know you're going to want to geofence competitors to make sure that if someone is in the market, you are messaging them at the right times when they're about to buy. So indeed, the county is a good way to start. We see time and time again our clients leading with a digital solution that includes one of the print components as well, because in many, many cases, it's the only print solution within that geography. So indeed, the county is what we see happening again and again and again as the lead geography, and it allows you to queue up a total solution, which is what the advertisers want. And the other thing which this gets to is an ROI. I have not been on a call with an advertiser who is not interested in ROI, and while there are there's some solutions that provide this, the uh, uh, ability to say we reach this many households and the advertiser knows how much a household is worth, uh, it's pretty easy to generate an ROI or to identify an ROI. So indeed, there's not a business I know who's not interested in some sort of ROI calculation, and you can do this very, very quickly with the Pulse platform.
Yeah, and I think I think you hit the nail on that quickly, right? This is something that can be used. You get your hands on this, you can use this immediately. You can
Yep.
start prospecting every heating and air conditioning company within your county and start saying, "Did you know I know how many people are going to be looking for heating and air conditioning services within your service area in the next 12 months? Are you interested in knowing what that is? Let's give me 15 minutes on a car.
Yeah.
I'm happy to stop in. I'll bring you coffee or whatever you like to drink."
Yeah.
And I think what else is great about this is for those that are listening, what I'm seeing on my screen and what can be printed out and left with the client or emailed to the client is a very prospect facing document that you can put in front of somebody. This isn't a Word document here. This is a very customer facing document that has 22,755 households out of 102,000 that said yes, in big writing, and it resonates what information is most important. And then at the bottom, it notes that its source is Pulse research data. This is sourced data. This is not
Yeah.
subjective, esoteric numbers pulled out of thin air. This is real data based on real research. And at the bottom, it has your contact information. So you don't have to put a real phone number, but if you should, because it will leave your contact information on this important document
Yeah.
for that advertiser to come back to you. And you can knock these out. It took me 20 seconds to do this. Let's say it takes a minute all in. Let's say 5 minutes all in from identifying a prospect, pulling this information, spinning up an email, sending it out, saying, "Would you like to know more?" That's going to take you 5 minutes. You can knock out 12 of these an hour. Use AI to help kind of make yourself more efficient from an automated process, you can scale that out. It's a gap planning game. Not everyone's going to see value in this data. They may say, well, we already have this data. That opens up conversation. This is a great way to get a business who's busy. They don't want you to sell them. Businesses hate being sold. I hate being sold. I get courted all the time for SaaS products for marketing and advertising. It drives me nuts. I get it. But this is real educational information that you can provide immediately to your advertiser to open up a door for a further conversation, or even to say, you know what, if you're not ready to talk to me now, that's okay. I'm not a pushy salesperson, but know this information exists, and know that we can put your message in front of these people in a way that other marketing vehicles cannot. And leave it there and let it marinate. And that seed that's planted will grow into a response. I assure you, I've used Pulse Research's product many a times in my news media advertising sales days, and it always generates such amazing interest and results. So we will get this for our members. We're going to get this out to you all here soon. This Pulse Research Lite platform to access. But Sammy, I want to talk a little bit about, so now we have this data, and we've talked a little bit through as we were demoing the tool, um, how how an advertising sales rep or a marketer can use this data. Um, and you mentioned ROI, right? Or I'll call it ROAS, right? I mean, because it's that's the digital geek in me. But I know with businesses, it's always, especially now, it's always like it comes down to cost, right? Like it always comes down to cost. And a half page in a newspaper one time, depending on the newspaper, could be $1,000 or more. It's a lot of money. Um, Talk to me a little bit about how, let's say maybe a newer sales rep within an organization, how in using these research backed insights, how could this help them overcome pricing objections that they may get from a prospect that's considering advertising within their organization?
Hold that thought. I want to mention something about the accelerate the creation. So, yes, you can. Once you've built one air conditioner, you don't have to recreate it. Literally, you print 30 of them. Literally, you put 30 on the passenger seat of your car, and you say, "Today is my heating and air conditioning day. I'm going to go drive and find all these suckers. I leave this, even if there's a gatekeeper or the guy's out on call, you leave this, and he comes back at the end of the day, and because the gatekeeper gives it to him and says, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly what I want to know. How many households are going to buy this stuff that I sell?"
You know what?
It's
That
it,
is an excellent point. I didn't even think about that, right? Because it's vertical. It's based on industry vertical.
yeah,
So, if you start with, and a great way to start is find, if it's whatever county you're in, find all of your HVAC companies or attorneys or car dealerships, auto mechanics
yeah,
within that and sell vertically. So if you're a vertical sales rep, or if your sales environment is based on verticals, this is a perfect marriage. If you're
yeah,
not, um and you're a territory style rep, this still is applicable, right? I
sure,
mean, this is absolutely applicable. You're absolutely right. Print 30 out, print 40 out. You can scale out your efforts easily. This makes
yeah.
it easy. Yeah, great point. Great point. Now,
And,
but so getting back, talk to me a little bit about, like, from the pricing objection standpoint, because we hear that a lot. I
sure,
hear from our members, a common objection is, well, a newspaper ad costs $2,000 for a half page, and my this prospect says, well, I can run a month's worth of Google ads for $2,000. Talk to me a little bit. Now, I can speak to the digital versus print side,
okay,
because digital is much more swampy than print.
yep,
I think anyone who does not believe that is just kidding themselves. And I think search is a necessary component of advertising. It's a great complement to a more robust owned and operated campaign with human audience
sure.
versus potentially a partially bot audience. So talk to me a little bit from, like, how sales reps can use this tool to overcome pricing objections?
Well, if history is any indication, this happens again and again and again. If we use the example we just showed, there are 22,000 households who are going to buy air conditioning services in the next 12 months. When you show that to the air conditioner guy, uh, two things will come up. First of all, he or she may say, "How do you know this?" Not an unreasonable question. And the answer is real simple. The last thing we want anyone to do is try to be a researcher like me, right? But we want to have an answer to the question, and the answer is real simple. We asked readers, this is what we told us. We ask our users, this is what we told us. The reason that works so well is A, I don't have to be a researcher and talk any kind of research geeky stuff. But B, if I'm a air conditioning provider and I get a call from Kevin, you say, how did you hear about us? Well, I heard you. I read you in the newspaper. I heard you on the radio. So indeed, it's easy to communicate that, and they love it. The second thing they're going to say, are there really that many? And yes, sir, there in the county there are. We know that 22% of the households intend to. That was the question we asked. They're not all going to shop with you. That's the key here. They're going to shop at heating and air conditioning providers. So the only way you're going to get more is to tell them why you're better or cheaper or faster or more reliable, have more guarantees. And that's the messaging we want to talk about. And since there's so many, if you get just a little bit more, you're going to get a great ROI. So that's what happens again and again and again, Kevin. The number of households within the geography, in this case, it was a county, is bigger than the advertiser expects. Therefore, an ROI is actually easier. I mean, every single live training I've done, or any kind of training, whether it's a video or live, is I encourage as strongly as I possibly can when I'm talking to a client or a prospect, is to create a larger campaign. We are so used to smaller campaigns. Oh, he'll never buy that. So I'm just going to ask for an ad. An ad does not do that advertiser any good. An ad doesn't do anything good for us. Let's
Yeah,
sell bigger campaigns.
yeah, I agree. I've always been a proponent of multi-channel or omni-channel campaigns.
Yep.
That's what resonates, especially if the overall goal is lead gen. Lead gens need full funnel marketing, and
Yep.
that includes all levels of that funnel, top, middle, and bottom. And in news media has a lot of different products at their disposal to use, from you know uh, uh, a print advertisement or print advertising in a newspaper or a magazine, to their website, to maybe sponsored content on their social media channels. It all comes down to audience. All comes down to audience. And I think where I see salespeople fall short is that they present this data, and there's a skepticism because on the prospect side, because they say, well, I want all of it. Out of just my zip code alone, the 1,000 homes that will project to spend over $500,000 in the next 12 months combined in heating and advertising services. Well, I want all of that. And well, I didn't get all of that. So now I feel underwhelmed post the campaign, and your retention goes kaput. So I think one thing that our advertising salespeople really need to understand is they need to educate, and they have to advise, and they need to bring realistic expectations with the business on, like you said. Imagine if there are 1,000 households in this one zip code that all combined are going to project to spend, $500,000. That's about $490 on average uh, spend per household. If my math is mathing right here, close to that. Let's call it $500 per. Let's say you get 10 of those. Let's say you get $5,000 off of a $2,000 campaign. Well, I've now doubled your ROI.
Yeah.
Um, and scale that out, and recognize and make advertisers and businesses understand, if it was as easy as running an ad and that puts a line out the door and around the corner, your competitors would be doing the same. But look at what your competitors are doing and how much they may be spending, and understand that it is an investment and there is an uptrend in return on investment. You need frequency, you need notoriety. There's a company here in Frederick. I'm gonna give them a shot. I've never worked with them. They work with an agency that I think does a great job. It's Holtzoppel Heating and Air Conditioning. It's such a difficult name to say, but you see them everywhere, and
Right.
that's because they spend the money on marketing and advertising to get their brand out there, and they have this like kind of really cartoony, caricature heating and air conditioning mechanic on that's their brand on the side of the car, and as soon as you even get a glance at it, you know who it is.
Good.
And I think that's what marketing and advertising needs to do. And with your data, you can start really developing the education for your prospects that your audience is of high value and authority. And don't be afraid to go in and say, look, really to affect change, you need a $30,000 campaign over the course of the next year, not this ad in this special section that you hope and pray is going to get a result because it feels easy. And go in confidently with the $30,000. I remember in my early days, trying to push a large campaign, I would go in and say like, well, it's going to cost you about 20,000, and they
Yeah.
see it on my face. Right. And that, my hesitation gives them hesitation. And in my growth, I'm seeing as, a lot of my clients, they are leads, higher education, agency providing client, they want leads. That's what they want. They want lead gen campaigns, which require a larger spend, and I'm confident in saying that now.
Yeah.
So, I what else would you add in terms of like tips or tricks or advice to ad reps, whether they're new or they're veteran? What in your experience, in you being so involved in this side of the industry, what are some tips and tricks you would offer out to sales reps to bring them into the evolution of selling news media advertising and audience to local businesses? What would you say to them?
So a handful of things. Using your let me circle back for just a second. Using your example of 1,000 households of $500, uh, less than one new customer a month will pay for that campaign. And that's what I commonly do is say, put it in a what? How many you need per month? And if it's I need less than one per month and to generate an ROI, a break even ROI, and everything beyond that is $500 a customer or five, man, I'm all interested in that. So I'd be remiss if I didn't chime in on that. So if I'm counseling or helping a rep, a couple things. So as an industry, all of our industries, we don't do a good job of prospecting. We literally don't, uh, and everybody's guilty. Having said that, it's pretty easy to prospect. Uh, one of our best customers started a program a few years ago. He called 3 by 9s. Literally, he made whatever that means his sales team do 3 prospecting calls by 9 o'clock every morning. And whether that prospecting call was a phone, an email, or a drop in, you got to do 3, 15 a week. There is no excuse that I will accept unless you're on vacation. Um, and guess what happened? Over the course of time, they learned that 15 or 20% of those pieces, those prospects turned into customers. And so, really good planning tool, whether you're working on a special event or annual campaign. If you know that 20% of who I approach is going to close, all I got to do is approach more, and then I'll close more. It's pretty basic. So that has been really, really valuable. Let's just get into prospecting mode. Second thing, using this data, you are unique. You are bringing something to the prospect or the advertiser they have not seen elsewhere. And they really value this. There are a couple of other sources of shopping intent. Uh, they are not 500 categories, I promise you. Uh, mo- Looking forward 12 months, only source like this. So indeed, if I can go out tomorrow and be more valuable to the advertising community than I was today, then that's a message I want to echo repeatedly. Last thing I would mention is we have seen, we can look at the activity on the Pulse platform. The best way to start the conversation with a prospect is dropping in. It doesn't apply to doctors and businesses like that, of course. But if I'm a consumer facing business, I drop in, even if I just leave that one page document with my phone number at the bottom, I'm going to get some callbacks. And a callback is a very qualified lead. You can email, you can call. Uh, I recommend if you do that, you do both. So you email and say, "Hey, I would love to drop by with more information about the households we reach. What's a good time tomorrow?" If you um, email that teaser, what we call a teaser first, then you say, "I'm going to be calling you to set an appointment." So that combination email is generating about a 15% take rate. So literally, if you send out 100 and do 100 calls, you're going to get 15 appointments. So indeed, prospecting 101 stuff is what I implore, beg, on my knee, hope we do a better job of.
I agree, and I think in some respects, salespeople will look for 20 different reasons to not prospect because prospecting sucks. It's you live in the land of rejection, right? And when you think of like for every 100, 15% will respond. That feels it like it in for a salesperson, because salespeople are competitive, it feels low, right? It feels goal crushing. But, out of every 100 calls, 15, start responding. Let's say if you can get 100 calls in a week, that's 15 new meetings that you can start logging for that next week or, throughout the next 5 to 7 business days or whatever the case may be. Then as you're having these, sales calls, bring in an AI approach to have like an AI note taker. So you can start capturing
Sure,
all of the information that you're having during a needs assessment and use other automation tools that can expand your bandwidth to make you more effective at what you do. Sammy, I think this has been great. I think the tool that you're providing, and that Brian from Pulse are providing to our members, I think this is an awesome tool. It definitely gives enough for our members to really bite into to affect change. And the greatest thing is you can use this tomorrow. So for our members, when we get this out, check out our weekly e-newsletter that comes out, our Friday planner. If you are not signed up with it, go to mddcpress.com and check out our Friday planner. You can get this by going to pulseresearch.com/mddc. Uh, Check it out. It'll be in the show notes as well. Um, I would follow Pulse on LinkedIn. I would connect with Sammy. Sammy's the chief navigation officer at Pulse. We'll make sure that his information is in the show notes as well. And the last thing I would say is, uh, keep an ear to the ground for the 2026 Pulse of America Research Initiative. We need your help and your support. This is only as good as the data that we can get, and you have the audience, and this data benefits you. So, for all of our members, we're going to ask that when this happens, that you run some of these ads, you put it out in your e-newsletter, get this out there so we can get the data back that we need to provide to you to increase your sales and revenue opportunities within your organization. Sammy, what am I missing? Am I missing anything?
no, I was about to talk about the Pulse of America too, so you beat me to the punch. Looking at my final notes, no, I think we're golden. It's been a treat to visit with you and hopefully your members about this. I am excited about our partnership. Eager to see a bunch of success. Go sell a bunch in each of those 12 categories and let us know how we can help.
Yeah, all we ask is so Sammy and I have come up with, all we ask is for a 40% commission split on any sales made by just kidding, just kidding. But I agree. Go out there, get some sales, get your businesses in your community getting their message out to your audience, they will see a result. It's good for their business. It's good for your business. It's good for their business. Local likes to support local. And I think if there's one good thing that has come out of COVID, that was that. The community supported their local businesses in a time of need as best they could during COVID. And I've seen that continue to progress forward, post COVID and just in 2026. So, make sure that you're out there and you're promoting this out. And yeah, if I think this is it for today. I hope that this was some good content. Sammy, I think this is awesome. Thank you so much. Please extend my thanks to Brian and the others at Pulse for this. We'll make sure that we get this out to our members. And until next time, see ya. 5 Doves Marketing Pros is hosted by me, Kevin Barrier. Our executive producer is MDDC Executive Director Rebecca Snyder. Our theme music is by Azulu Studios. A special thanks to our guests for being with us. You can find 5 Doves and 5 Doves Marketing Pros on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.